I'm Malcolm, and today for my skeleton video, I'm gonna show you where each skeleton is labeled. And I did a little differently for this video. I chose a little scenarios that shows each bones on the skeleton. So here goes. My first scenario is about this little boy who is bicycling, and he hits the curb, and he goes over the handlebars, and he falls and waxes his frontal lobe. So he falls this way, so he just like flies from his bicycle, and then he hits his frontal lobe, and this is where his frontal lobe is, right here, which is attached to the parietal lobe that is right here, the parietal from our the side right here. My camera is a bit hard, so it's right there. This is my parietal lobe from the side of my skeleton. And another example is that, for example, a woman had her baby, and then the father goes to visit the little baby that is born, and then when the father is like petting the head of the baby, he can feel the depression on the head of the baby, because the depression, which is the sagittal suture, this is the line goes right here through it, it's sort of like has like cut line sort of, and when the baby is just born, it just comes in, and it's not yet formed fully. So this is what the sagittal suture of the baby is. It's like midline, halfway. It kind of like it's in the middle of our head. So another scenario of my is that one of the another scenario is that boy has a fist fight with his friend. So his friend hits him into his chin. So he hits him right like this, like bam, and then he hurts his zygomatic bone, which is his cheeks. The zygomatic cheeks and the zygomatic bones are right here, the cheeks. And then he and when he like punches him this way, he of course punches his zygomatic bones, and then his sphenoid, which is like right here in his nose, like sphenoid. The smell of the sinuses. Sphenoid is like the sinuses. So right there in his the nasal area. And then of course it affects the punch, like when it's like bams him, it affects his nasal, like his nose. And then and of course it affects his ethmoid, the ethmoid, which is like almost like right here, the ethmoid bone. And then when he punches to his nose, the nose kind of gives like an effect to it, and then usually when you get punched, when you get punched like either side of your face, your nose gets like smushed sort of, and then you have tears rolling in your eyes, which is like the in your lacriminal bone, which is like right here in your eyes. It's like a teardrop comes out of. And so another area is that then his friend punches him back, and then he punches him to this area, so it's like bam. So it's most likely this part, his mandibular, the jawline, and he knocks his tooth out, and it loses his maxilla, which is like maxilla right here, up there, whereas our tooth kind of connected up there, the alveolar margins. So right here on the skeleton, and then when he knocks his tooth out from the maxillary bone, so which maxillary, like the way I associate is more like the mustache area, so it's right here, the teeth of the skeleton, so right here the maxilla, so the teeth, the upper mouth, the mustache area of the skeleton. And another scenario is where it shows the other parts of the skeleton is that the lunch lady slips and falls on her back and smashes her occipital bone. So she walks by, and then she goes back, and then she hits her occipital bone, which is right at the back of our skeleton. So right at the back, in our version, and right at the back on our skeleton. And then when she hits her occipital bone, she kind of like turns and then falls on her side, which then she hits her temporal bone, which is on her side, where our temples, right there, the temples. So right here on our temples. And another scenario is that you're at the red light, and the car behind you like plows back at you, back into your car, and like smashes you. The first hit in like that kind of car accident is that when you get hit by the car, you're thrown forward, so you go like bam, you like kind of fly out, sort of, whereas like the pillow, you kind of fly out and you hit your cervical vertebrae. So when you go kind of like fly out of the car, you hurt your cervical vertebrae, which is the cervical vertebrae. If I turn the skeleton, it's picture the cervical vertebrae, which is almost the cervical vertebrae when you go like fly out of the car. So when you like fly out of your car, the cervical vertebrae where you get first effect from your from that head is right here. It goes from like your goes like after your occipital bone, so right there, your cervical bone that has seven bones. And then on your second hit, which when you go forward and then it throws you back on your the car seat, if you go forward and you like plunge back, that second hit and affects your thoracic bone that just goes right after your cervical bone, which is like right after, like in the middle, sort of right here. That affects your thoracic bone. And then on the third hit, you have another kind of movement from the accident, which was, because it was like such a big accident, is that you even go further, like you go even further forward, which has an effect on your lumbar vertebrae that goes like on the back, from like right here to up to this point, that contains 7 bones. That's your lower back. scenario is pretty much from the head you go forward. That has an effect on your cervical vertebrae. That goes like after your occipital bone, and then you plunge back. That gets hit on your thoracic vertebrae. That contains like 12 bones, and then when you go even more further forward, that affects your lumbar vertebrae. That contains 5. So it's like lower back. So like me at this position, I'm sitting on my sacral area, which is like all the way back. So if I let my skeleton sit down, he's sitting right here. So this is his kind of like sacral area, and then this little kind of like a coccyx. This is called coccyx. So when you sit down, you sit on kind of benched over. You kind of bent down, like sort of gives you like the twist in order for you to sit down. So this is your sacroiliac area, and then this little is your coccyx. That's the curve in, kind of like you curve in to sit down, sort of. Going back to the accident, when the person was in the accident, when he falls forward, he like hurts his sternum, which is this part of our skeletons, the sternum. So the sternums are breastbone, the thoracic kind of our breastbone, and which is attached to our ribs. So our breastbone attached to our ribs. So we went from the skull to our vertebrae, to our front, to our sternum area, the ribs, and then we're gonna go to our like lower parts of the body. So the lower parts of the body. So the scenario for the lower parts of the body is that the man is trying to paint his house, and he's on his ladder, right? He's on his ladder and painting house, and then he falls and lands on his shoulder. So he kind of like he lands on. What I mean when he falls and lands on his shoulder is just like he kind of falls back but lands on his shoulder, to one side of the shoulder, and then the part that he injures or breaks is there. My skeleton's gonna say he hits the clavicles, the wings. I'm sorry, he hits his clavicle, which is like the T-shaped that is attached into our clavicles. He hits when he falls back on his shoulder. He hits this part of this part, the clavicle, and then that is attached to the AC joint, the acromioclavicular joint, which is that is attached. That is his shoulder. And then when he falls, he also hurts his scapula, as I mentioned earlier, which is the wing part, the rib, the wing right here, the scapula. there is the scapula also is attached to our shoulder, as we can see, attached to our shoulder. That, and then when he falls, of course, on the side of the shoulder, he the head of the humerus is fractured. So the head of the humerus is our arm is fractured. It goes from our shoulder up down to our elbow. That's our arm and our clavicle and our scapula. Going in another scenario is that now it's not the guy falling out of his ladder. This time it's the skateboard guy. He falls down. He extends his arm down, so he kind of like tries to like help him to not like go all the way to the ground. So he goes like this, as like so. When he falls from, he kind of like he supports his fingers, his hands, like support him, give support to the ground, so he doesn't fall all the way to the ground and like break his nose maybe. And then he breaks his radius and his ulna. Okay, so as we can, so the radius radius is our shorter part. So this is our radius, the shoulder bone, and then and this is our ulna, the longer bone. So that's what the skateboard is injured. His radius, the shorter, and then his ulna, the longer bone. That is also he also attacks his wrist bone, which is wrist bones are wrist, because he tries to like hold on to the ground. So his wrists are like that, kind of holds on to it, and then that also affects his carpals. So his carpals are right here, his carpals, and the longer bones are metacarpals that are for our fingers. So if I put my skeleton down and kind of like try to show even more on my hands, is that so this is what happens. He hurts his carpals that is around right here of our hand, and then he also affects his metacarpals that are the long bones that are our fingers. So this is about our hand and our shoulder part. Another scenario is that the old lady, she hears door ring. She gets up and goes to the door, tries to open the door, but there's rug that is slippery, so she slips on her rug, and then she falls on her pelvis area, which is our pelvis, pelvis area, right here, our pelvis area, where she injures her iliac crest. The iliac crest is our stick out bone. Like if we can like feel it, like it's from the sides. So this is our iliac crest, and then this is, as I said, that was the iliac crest, and so this is our iliac crest. And then she also hurts her pubic bone that is like right here, her pubic bone, which is part of the pelvis, of course, as we see here. Goes iliac, and then our pubic, which is part of the pelvis, or hip bone, another word for it. And this is lower at the end. This lower at the end is our pubic arch, right here, our pubic arch. So as she falls down, she can't get up. Of course, she's an old lady. She can get up. So the head of the femur, which is where is our thigh? So our thigh. The head of the femur is here. That's our strength bone. That means it carries our body weight. And then the acetabulum, the ball socket, where our femur goes into it. So just like twist into our the acetabulum ball socket, just like twist into it, kind of attaches to it, so it was like that. And the femur and the socket go together in the fit in, which makes this part of the femur, which makes the femur to stay and carry our weight. And as we go to our from our thigh or our femur, go to our lower back, not lower back, I'm sorry, to our lower leg, skeletal, to our lower leg. We can see that our lower leg has two bones. One of the bones is okay. Let me go back. As we said that the femur is attached to the ball socket, that's the tibulum. So our femur goes from a pelvis down to the area of our kneecap, which is the patella, that is called the kneecap. The kneecap is right here, our kneecap. And then our lower leg, as I said like a couple minutes ago, that has two bones. Okay, so as I try to kind of remember myself, which one is tibia and which one is fibia. Fibia is our outside bone. I'm sorry, fibia is our trying to remember on my own leg as I try to remember the fibia is outside, inside. So fibia is inside. So fibia is inside. So fibias are inside, which is and the lower leg, kind of skinnier version, is our tibia. So fibia is the one that it's very like it's not that strength, has not much of a strength than our tibia. And as we go from our lower leg to our foot, we can see that our foot is like our hands. It has carpals, metacarpals, phalanges, and of course we have calcaneus, which is calcaneus. If I try to show it on my calcaneus, is our the heel of our foot. So the tarsals is the it joins the tibia and the fibia together. Okay, so tarsals it right here joins them together, and as I said, calcaneus was a heel, and metatarsals is attached to our phalanges, to our toes. So metatarsals and their phalanges is our toes. The bone, the actual bone of our toes. And then we have phalanges. As I said, phalanges is our actual toes, our toe bone, as we could say, and metacarpals is kind of like the upper part of our foot, the upper part of the foot, and then we have our the metacarpals, and then we have our phalanges, our toe bones. So I use scenarios because I felt like doing scenarios for each main divisions of our bone, of our skull bone and our lower bone, like kind of our middle chest area and then lower back, down lower. It was helpful because I could kind of like have a connection with that scenario to the actual person and picture like, oh, this lady, when she fell down, she landed on her pelvis area. She hurted her iliac crest, which is like the stick out bone that is that is attached to the iliac. And then we have the pelvic area, the iliac crest, and then the pubic bone on the lower back, and then the pubic arch was like lower at the kind of lower at the bottom. So that's why I thought doing scenarios would help me to remember these major bones, and just kind of like relate to nursing, because there'll be a lot of scenarios where an old lady will come into the emergency room and be like, and we'll do an x-ray and to find out that she fell and she landed on her pelvis and she broke her iliac crest or whatever part of the landing it was. So I thought this was I thought this video was very helpful, especially the way I kind of like structured it, because it was helpful for me to kind of remember them and then go back to my scenarios and just relate to the actual skeleton. So I hope you enjoyed my video with my skeleton. This is the first time I took it out, so it was kind of creepy, and I tried to like move the coronal area, sort of, kind of, and the sagittal suture, which is like the midline, as I said, that is not yet formed in babies. So yeah, I hope you could I hope you learned stuff from the scenarios as I learned, and I hope it was helpful as it was helpful for me, for my understanding and for my memorizing of the main bones and of the skull, the lower, and then our femur, our foot, and that part, and those parts. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed my video. Bye.